What is up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. This is Rebecca, and today we're going to do a video on people that disappeared in the Appalachian Mountains. Let's get into it.
As you fade away, as you fade away.
Teresa, Trenny, Lynn Gibson was a 16-year-old. Her birthday was August the 17th, 1960. She was 5'3" and 115 pounds. She was a white female, brown hair, and green eyes. October the 8th, 1976, a Knoxville, Tennessee high school loaded around 40 students into a school bus for a field trip to the Great Smoky Mountains. The trip took around an hour and 40 minutes to arrive at the Great Smoky Mountains. They planned to hike from Clemmings Dome to Andrews Bald and then back to Clemmings Dome, where they would then get on the school bus and head back to school. It is said that the bus may have parked at Clemmings Dome because it had a parking lot along with a breathtaking view. It is a spiraling structure that takes you to the observatory where you can see just how beautiful the Great Smoky Mountains are. Once the students arrived, they soon broke into several smaller groups and then headed out for their hikes. Around 3 o'clock, Trenny was seen walking with a few of her friends. Trenny's friends decided to take a break for a few moments as the hike had wore them out. Trenny decided that she did not want to stop and continued on the hike. There were several other school groups ahead of her, so she figured she would catch up with one of them. Trenny was seen by another classmate. The student said that Trenny was around 200 feet away from her. She observed Trenny bending over as if she was looking at something on the ground. She then disappeared to the left of the trail. Another student said that she also saw Trenny. Then she looked away for a second, and when she looked back, Trenny had disappeared. The student then walked to where Trenny had disappeared from. There was no sign of her. She screamed out her name. There were no other trails coming from that area. There was a very small stream, but no sign of her anywhere. Around 6 o'clock that evening, Trenny was reported missing to the park rangers. A search was immediately started. However, as usual in cases where somebody mysteriously disappears in the woods, weather abruptly changed and it began to pour rain. Then a thick fog sat in, hence the name the Great Smoky Mountains. Helicopters were forced to wait until the rain and fog dissipated. Soon enough, the search started back. Helicopters were used and countless people dedicated their time to the search for Trenny. The roads to Clingman's Dome was blocked off to avoid any unnecessary traffic. Around a half a dozen tracking dog teams were used to search for Trenny. 3 teams of tracking dogs alerted to Trenny's scent being at the intersection with the Appalachian Trail and following up to Clingman's Dome. More dogs alerted to her scent being along the side of the road about a mile and a half from Newfound Gap. Supposedly, there was an open beer can and some cigarette butts were found on the ground at the location where the dog alerted on her scent. No other signs of Trenny were ever found. Trenny was never seen or heard from again. Still to this day, she is missing. Hopefully, the beer can and cigarette butt was collected for evidence. I'm sure if they were to ever run tests on them, they would surely have a hit on a person of interest. But unfortunately, no further information has ever been released. Here is an age progression photo of what Trenny Lynn Gibson would look like today. Thelma Pauline Melton. She was 58 years old according to the Charlie Project. She was 5'11" and 170 to 180 pounds. She was a white female with reddish brown hair, brown eyes, wore glasses, and her nickname was Polly. On September 25, 1981, Thelma headed to the Deep Creek Trail in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park with her husband and 2 friends. They arrived in an Airstream trailer to the campground, and as soon as they got there, her husband wanted to relax in the Airstream. However, Thelma and the 2 friends decided that they wanted to go on a hike. The trail they chose was listed as easy. The group of 3 headed on their hike. On the way back to the campsite, Thelma started to pick up speed. She soon enough passed the 2 friends and continued ahead of them. They saw her walk over a small hill, then she disappeared out of sight. The friends assumed that they would just meet her back at the campground. Once the two friends arrived back at the campsite, they went to her husband and asked where Thelma was. He told them that she had never arrived. They decided to go back to the location where they last saw her. They searched for any evidence of Thelma or where she might have went. Unfortunately, they were unable to find any trace of her. Around 6 o'clock, they reported Thelma missing. Shortly after, a large search began. Over the course of that week, a total of 150 people assisted in the search. They had 9 search dogs. At one point, a dog alerted to a tree that was downed. Searchers believe that she may have stopped to rest for a moment at this tree. No other detections of Thelma were ever found. In April of 1982, 1 year after Thelma's disappearance, a check was made out to Thelma that was cashed in Birmingham, Alabama. The detectives tried to figure out who cashed the check, but they were unable to trace it back to anyone. What is up, everybody? I hope you're enjoying the channel. If you do, make sure you go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps us grow the channel, and we greatly appreciate it. Love you. Y'all are the best. Bye. Dennis Lloyd Martin was born June 20th, 1962. He was a white male with dark brown hair, brown eyes, and Dennis had a learning disability. June 14th, 1969, Father's Day weekend, Dennis, his father, brother, grandfather, and 2 cousins left their home in Knoxville, Tennessee to go hiking. They were hiking from Cades Cove to Russell Field, a distance of 10 miles for the first day. Afterwards, they set up a campsite and stayed the night. The next day, they traveled to Spencerfield and again set up another campsite there. Dennis and the other children helped set up camp, and when they were done, they wanted to play games. They decided to play hide and go seek. Around 4:30, Dennis and the other children decided they wanted to scare the adults. 2 would sneak around from the trail in one direction, while Dennis would sneak up from another area. Dennis was last seen behind a bush. Once they noticed Dennis never snuck up on the adults, they told the adults, and the group started to search for Dennis. They were unable to find Dennis and reached out to the park rangers. Shortly after the search began, over 150 people were involved in the search. 2 Army helicopters were involved in the search as well. Later in the evening, torrential rain downpoured, halting the search temporarily. Even more people joined the search after the rain. Then again, bad weather came. Then, even more people joined in the search. It seemed like every time the search would start, the weather would prevent them from searching. In the end, around 1,400 people had joined the search. The rain surely destroyed any evidence, but it is also said that because so many people participated in the search, more than likely the searchers themselves disrupted some evidence as well. After the initial search were done without any luck, several other searches were launched, one by the Special Forces and one by the National Guard. The search for Dennis continued until June 29th, 1969, but the search was officially ended September 14th, 1969. One of the park's visitors, Mr. Key, reported he heard a loud scream around the time Dennis went missing. Then he went on to say that he saw a rough-looking man walking through the woods. A lot of conspiracy theories have evolved around that statement. They say that a Sasquatch abducted Dennis and the government covered it up. The authorities looked into the area where Mr. Key said that he heard the scream, but no evidence of Dennis was ever found. There was a ginseng hunter that claims to have found Dennis's bones. However, he waited years to tell authorities, as he was scared that he would be blamed for Dennis's murder. The authorities tried to find the bones. However, because so much time had passed, they were unable to find anything. The search for Dennis was the largest and most extensive search ever conducted in the history of the park. This case is a prime example of why searches need to be completely planned out. I'm sure that the family of Dennis were so thankful for the 1,400 people who assisted in the search. I'm also sure that if Dennis had left any footprints, the 1,400 people that assisted in the search unfortunately probably stepped all over his footprints. But it was raining pretty bad, so maybe no trace of Dennis would have survived anyways. What do y'all think? Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like, comment, and subscribe button. It really helps us grow the channel and we greatly appreciate it. Y'all are the best. Love you. Bye.